A second community visit in 2 weeks by Chief Executive John Lee as he meets residents in East Hong Kong Island. Hong Kong logs a new imported case of chikungunya fever involving a 27-year-old woman living in Sham Shui Po. And protests in Indonesia escalate with at least 3 people killed in the arson of a local parliament building. Good evening. You're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Less than 3 weeks from his policy address delivery, Chief Executive John Lee visited public housing in eastern Hong Kong Island and spoke to residents before finalizing his policy blueprint. Jamie Liu wraps up the visit.
Just a week apart, Lee made another community visit, this time to Oi Tong Estate in Shau Kei Wan. Accompanied by Labour Chief Chris Sun and Home Affairs Secretary Alice Mack. The Chief Executive met 2 elderly women, both in their 70s and living alone, in their residence. He helped them measure blood pressure. One woman showed him how she contacts community service staff using a smartphone. He stayed for half an hour before touring the estate, while talking to residents of different ages. In her surprise run-in with the city leader, this lady took the opportunity to appeal for better local medical facilities. But this woman, who only caught a glimpse of Lee, said his 1-hour visit was too brief. Lee stopped by a nearby social services building before going to the Hong Kong Museum of the War of Resistance and Coastal Defense, where he spoke to teenagers. With his 4th policy blueprint set for release on September 17th, the chief executive pledged to quickly sort through the views he gathered and determine key priorities. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
An additional imported case of chikungunya fever has been logged involving a 27-year-old woman living in Sham Shui Po who developed symptoms after traveling to Foshan 2 weeks ago.
The patient traveled to Guangdong's Foshan city alone from August 15th to 17th before developing a fever and a rash on Sunday. She sought medical help at the Accident and Emergency Department of Caritas Medical Center, where laboratory tests confirmed the presence of the chikungunya fever virus in her blood sample. The woman is currently in stable condition and is being treated in a mosquito-free environment. As she was in Foshan during the incubation period, her case is considered an imported one. 2 of her household contacts are asymptomatic and under medical surveillance. This case brings the total number of chikungunya fever cases in the city year-to-date to 13.
In a bid to speed up public housing supply, Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho said the government might reduce the scale of ancillary facilities, such as shopping malls in newly built estates, and encourage tie-ups between property management companies and social welfare groups to offer social services. Evelyn Bai reports.
As of the end of June, the compensate waiting time for subsidized rental housing for general applicants who were housed to traditional or light public housing has decreased to 5.1 years from 5.3 years in the last quarter, while the waiting time for those specifically applying for traditional public flats has risen to 5.4 years. Taking to the airwaves, Ho expressed confidence in the government's goal to reduce the waiting time to 4.5 years with various methods to accelerate the process in the pipeline. Taking ancillary facilities as an example, she mentioned the issue of whether the facilities in public rental housing could be scaled down, pointing out that the future clusters of public housing in the northern metropolis will be in close proximity, so it is not necessary to have a large shopping center in every estate. Ho also highlighted the collaboration between property management companies and social welfare organizations at 2 light public housing projects in Yuen Long and Ngau Tau Kok. Such a model is worth considering in traditional public housing estates, she said. Ho added that Approximately 30,000 light public housing units are expected to be available by 2026, a year earlier than initial planned. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
If your potential subject of romance suggests taking you to a lavish meal at a 5-star hotel, make sure not to order something with a big price tag unless you're ready to split the bill or even pay it in full. A 23-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of fraud after allegedly leaving a woman he met online with an $80,000 bill following a luxury dinner in Central.
The incident occurred on Thursday night at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. The 31-year-old female victim told police that the man who presented himself as a lawyer joined her for a meal where they ordered an extremely expensive bottle of champagne. After the dinner, the suspect excused himself to use the restroom but never returned, leaving the victim to settle the massive bill alone. She reported the suspected scam again yesterday to Central District Police. After investigating, officers arrested the man in Chen Kuan-o last night and seized clothing believed to have been worn during the incident. He is currently being detained for further questioning.
Police have dismantled 2 drug storage facilities, seizing more than 44.5 kilograms of suspected ketamine with an estimated street value of over $20 million. 2 local men have been arrested.
The crackdown occurred on Friday afternoon when officers stopped and searched a man acting suspiciously outside an industrial building unit in Kwaichong. Inside, they found 60 packages of what is believed to be ketamine. Following further investigation, police intercepted a second man in a nearby industrial estate. A search of his subdivided flat uncovered an additional 118 packages of suspected ketamine. The 2 arrested men, aged 23 and 30, have been charged with drug trafficking offenses. They are scheduled to appear at the West Kowloon Magistrates Court on Monday.
President Xi Jinping is set to roll out the red carpet for Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow, as the Russian leader will kick off a 4-day visit to China, attending scheduled talks with his Chinese counterpart amid the U.S. upending of global relations.
Putin will first travel to Tianjin for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. He will then proceed to Beijing for talks with Xi and to attend commemorations marking the 80th anniversary of victory in World War II after Japan formally surrendered. In an interview with Xinhua News, Putin stated that this visit holds profound symbolic significance for the development of Sino-Russian relations. He confirmed that both nations are committed to maintaining traditions of good neighborly friendship and mutually beneficial cooperation. Putin noted that his visit comes at the invitation of the Chinese president. The leaders will engage in in-depth discussions on all aspects of the bilateral agenda, including an exchange of views on political, security, economic, regional, and international issues.
Amid intensifying protests in Indonesia, at least 3 people are killed and 5 injured after a regional parliament building was set on fire. China reminds its citizens in Indonesia to take extra steps to stay safe. Jamie Liu has more.
Online video showed flames engulfing a parliament building in Makassar, the capital of South Sulawesi province. The crowds cheered and clapped. 2 people were seriously injured after jumping from the 4th floor to escape the fire. 3 council employees died after being trapped. Indonesian media cited witnesses as saying the attack began Friday afternoon when petrol bombs were thrown, followed by an assault on the parliament building. The crowds gathered around the scene until early morning. During the chaos, looters reportedly scavenged the burnt building for car parts and electronics, while dozens of vehicles were torched. A week into the unrest, protests have spread to major cities including Bandung and Jakarta. The anger first erupted in the capital city of Jakarta over lavish housing allowances for parliament members. Tension soared after a 21-year-old ride-hailing driver was fatally struck by a police vehicle during a rally. In Jakarta, protesters marched to the headquarters of the police mobile brigade, and some attempted to storm the compound. Police used tear gas to disperse the crowds. President Prabowo Subianto extended his condolences to the rider's family and called for an investigation into his death. The Chinese embassy in Indonesia urged its nationals and institutions to avoid protest areas and crowds and enhance safety precautions. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
In the United States, a high-level court has ruled that President Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs constituted an abuse of power, though the measures will remain in effect while legal proceedings continue. The White House now has about a month and a half to appeal.
The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, in a 7-4 ruling by a group of 11 judges, found that Trump overstepped his authority when he announced worldwide retaliatory tariffs on Liberation Day, as well as additional tariffs imposed in February on China, Canada, and Mexico. In a 127-page judgment, the court stated that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, passed in 1977 and cited by Trump, grants the president powers to act in response to national emergencies. However, the law does not explicitly authorize the president to impose tariffs under these circumstances. The court argued that the Constitution grants only Congress the authority to set tax policy, including tariffs. Nevertheless, the court has allowed the current tariff measures to remain in place until October 14th, giving the administration time to appeal to the Supreme Court. Trump responded in a post, criticizing what he called a highly partisan appeals court. He emphasized that all tariffs remain in effect, accused the court of political bias, and warned that removing tariffs would weaken the national economy and literally destroy the country. As of July, tariff revenue collected by the U.S. government reached $159 billion, twice the amount collected during the same period last year.
On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 showers, hot with sunny intervals during the day. Temperatures will range between 28 to 32 degrees. Isolated thunderstorms later. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thanks for watching and good night.